Welcome to Reality After Show, covering the Challenge World Championships exclusively on Paramount Plus. This is episode 12, the finale, World Domination. And I had to bring my crew to run this final with, as always, my ride or die, Dan Montchal, and his side piece, stand-up comedian, Wayne Memmott.
I'm sitting in the sidecar with little goggles.
I heard Dan put Wayne on his back to carry him up the hill.
Oh, yeah. I had 3 sticks. I was using them all. I'll tell you where the third one was. All right.
Can I have the stick? No, I need them. I need them.
Oh, this is a nice little reunion. We're just missing Chrissy.
Truly. And if you want to catch up on Australian Survivor, you can watch our podcast with Chrissy that we have on our YouTube, on our Apple Podcasts, if they're still in there, because we do a lot of podcasts. May get lost in the shuffle, but great content nonetheless. We have finally wrapped up this long journey of all the country-specific challenges up to the World Championships. I know for the longest time, we were goofing about World Championships, about how it's such a dumb idea. It's not going to work. And you know what? I'm able to swallow my words. I think it was a success.
All right. I would say this season standalone, I know I haven't been on this podcast a lot, was a success. Yes. I thoroughly enjoyed it. This season I enjoyed more than any of the other iterations of the show. I think Australia I enjoyed the most of the countries that I watched. I really liked Australia. That being said, I don't think it's a true world championship because it's there's a lot of players that are really good at this game that were not on this show. If you want to make a true world championship, I like the idea of having a champion, a challenge world champion for real, but there's got to be multiple bracketed seasons where you're taking USA's challenge players and putting, CT wasn't involved. Come on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But it's not for all intents and purposes, for all we know, and what rumors say, he was given the invite and he declined it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because it's an unproven commodity. I'd probably decline it too because they're probably not paying him enough money.
He had his movie. He had his family.
Right. He had his movie and everything that he's doing on
dude's
personally.
Now trying to be a thirst trap on Instagram. Well, not trying, succeeding.
He is. Oh, yeah, no, he's a thirst trap on Instagram. But I just think, it's not going to hold the same weight of a challenge championship that, a World Series or, an NBA Finals or, one of those.
Course.
Because there's just no way to get everybody involved. That being said, getting up to this season was awesome. I loved watching it. It was super entertaining. It moved along great. There was drama. There was new and old players. We got to fall in love with some really cool new players. We get to see how some of our heroes from other shows do in this. Looking at Danny, I loved Danny in this format. I think he played in really, really well. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's a big thing, Dan, especially with the rumor of what season 39 is going to look like on MTV, with essentially none of the staple people. It's going to be a lot of the new faces from the past several seasons. I felt this season in particular, In a Box, did such a better job than in recent memory of making a season format where you're pairing the legend players, the people that everyone knows, with these new players, and it really allowed the new players to have more of an active voice, an active part of the story, where you leave this season and you're you remember at least half of the new players.
I can't wait to watch Kaz. For multiple reasons. I can't wait to watch Kaz.
What I'll say about this season was, I get there's a lot of people hating on it, but that's just the way that it works now. There is never a season of any show that's coming out that while it's happening, people are like, oh, this is great. Now that we're done, 12 episodes down, I will say this is my favorite challenge season since War of the Worlds 2. I loved it.
Dang.
Was it perfect? No, but I thought there were so many good things. Sure, Wayne, as you mentioned, we were missing CT. There were some of the other, bigger names we were hoping to have, but casting as a whole, who they were able to get, the MVPs that they brought on. I thought that this season, it started out a bit slow, but to where it got in its middle portion of the season to finishing out at the end, I was very happy with it.
Yep. Yeah,
And to go along with that, I bring this up because with how things are running and like with the season 39 rumors, it got me thinking. I was on Twitter. I was talking with another challenge podcaster, Scott Yeager of Challenge Mania. And we both have this idea that just you see the mainstay people now coming to CBS for the USA Season 2. It's been almost impossible to not see spoilers for that season. I will not say them on the podcast for those who do not want to be spoiled before viewing. But I feel we are seeing steps now where MTV is dying a very slow and honestly too slow of a death.
Right.
I think it's very pointed that they're making a season now that will have none of like the veterans on the season unless there's a twist that brings some of them in, like Invasion of the Champions. Are we seeing a path forward where in the very near future the challenge fully relocates to either CBS or Paramount Plus? Because if it moves over to Paramount Plus, I'm fully on board with that. It will get people to subscribe to Paramount Plus, and we'll get music, unfiltered, confessionals. Like, that's some of the things I really enjoy about the Paramount Plus series of it all. Like, there's no holds barred. Like, you get to hear whatever you want. You get to play the music that you want. You don't have it on CBS where you play generic music number 3. And I think it's the right way to go at this point.
I think it's what they need to do. And especially because, as you mentioned with MTV dying, but how many challenge seasons have we had in the past year? It's a ton. We can't keep doing that. And if you want to keep seeing favorites, you can't keep bouncing around to the 3 different platforms that they're going to be on. I think that's the right move for them to go moving forward. If MTV is dying, go to CBS or Paramount Plus. But we don't need all 3 happening.
And it'll get rid of the 20-plus episode seasons. Because they're only doing that because what else is MTV going to play besides ridiculousness, deliciousness, whatever other stupid ones that they decided to pay him to do? You know who you are.
I love that guy, by the way, but I don't watch any of his shows.
Oh no, he's great. The show sucks.
Right. I just want to go on record saying I love that person. So I had 2 options. First of all, I think all things challenge should be consolidated to Paramount Plus because mostly for the unfilteredness of it. I think it just adds more to the show when it's a little more unfiltered. If it has to move to CBS, have it follow Survivor, bump them both to 1.5 hour long episodes.
I don't know. I have opinions about 1.5 hour long.
I know you do.
Episodes. I've always had the opinion for both Survivor and the Challenge that 1.5 hour episodes should be as needed, not uniform. Because there are moments where 90-minute episodes, you're like, oh, this is perfect. It gave me everything I wanted. And then there's 90-minute episodes, just like with Australian Survivor, there's 90-minute episodes where you're just like, oh my God, can we just get the tribal council? Can we just get to the elimination? Like that, you are really dragging your feet.
If you're like streaming it, you're like scrolling ahead to see when they get to tribal.
And the other big thing of moving to CBS would be next day viewing. You can't do that with MTV. You can't even do the season really on MTV because they're stupid. Sorry, not sorry. No. But with CBS, we have seen with Challenge USA, Dan, Johnny, and I, when we covered that, we didn't watch it live. We watched it next day. No commercials, unfiltered, and you really got to have a good pace. And I think that's just going to do so much better for the challenge as a whole in terms of a viewing audience, a podcasting audience, and really raising the ears and eyes on it.
I mean, it's 2 things. If you think you just have this real strong like base of challenge fans, then you like put it all on Paramount Plus because that builds your streaming base. Like these people aren't going anywhere because they can't watch one of their favorite shows anywhere else. you put it on CBS if you're thinking, hey, we've got some really big characters that we think that most of America are going to love, and then that's why it would go on CBS. It's kind of what I would think, and I don't obviously know any of the answers to that, but that's what I would think about it.
Well, I think it would work perfect doing it. Like you could still have it air on CBS and then just going straight on. But CBS isn't big with running reruns, especially on reality TV. And just think about how we're seeing All-Stars, how even in the World Championships, they still have it break perfectly for commercials. So it'd be easy to incorporate it back and forth as needed, especially with this upcoming writer's strike.
Right. That's the other thing. This writer strike ain't going anywhere for a long time.
Yeah. But what is coming around here is the final. This is like, I know we had our banter. We'll have a lot more banter during this podcast because even though there's not a lot to talk about, I really enjoyed this final. And the reason why I really enjoyed it was it really, first off, extremely easy to follow along. There was no point system. It was just point A to point B. Here's what you need to do. You have a fun, goofy, overnight, stay up as long as you can thing, and you have the race up a mountain and back down. Like, it had everything I wanted in a final, straightforward, and it felt old school. It wasn't like the All-Star seasons or the recent challenge seasons where I have to constantly pause because there's 20 tasks that they decide to show that I need to make sure I have every single note jot down. This was like, here's 4 tasks. Run a bunch. Sleep. Or actually, don't sleep. We'll shock you. Do a puzzle. Run up and down a mountain. Love it. Thoughts from you, Sue?
I was going to say the same thing. Like, no Sudoku. It's not outthinking itself. Like, these people are athletes that are here to do super athletic things. And it almost supposed to feel like the viewer's like, that looks easy. I mean, it's not. It's definitely not easy. Like, yeah, just run 16 miles for sure. And then I really liked it. There's no way those shot collars were real. There's absolutely no way.
I hope they were.
I liked the slide puzzle a lot. I don't think I've ever seen a slide puzzle like that. So it's like to see an innovation on an old thing was really neat. And they haven't like shown that slide. Nobody could have practiced that, but it's like, you don't have to be strong or know math or do all, like, it's just something like, can you figure this out?
Yeah. I saw that one for the first time, a month or 2 ago. I was competing and that was a challenge, and it was the first time I've ever seen something like that. I wasn't able to finish it, and I found out after the team that finished it cheated. So I was like, oh great. So I had no shot of winning, but it's a very fun thing where it's like, not just, let's just create a picture. It's like, no, these are very specific. You can't move them around, but there is a way for you to plug it all in.
This is where I'll call out the hypocrisy of people that hated this final. Is this had so many similarities to War of the Worlds 1 final. Was it as grueling? No, but it was almost the exact same setup. Now there they were biking, but you had these long loops, and every time you competed a lap, you had a checkpoint that you needed to complete, and then it took you on to the second day. It was almost the same, and everybody loved that. But for some reason, this one, no, it wasn't good.
Well, because of who was competing.
It's because, and also, how much did TJ get bonused to wear that conductor outfit? You think he was pumped to wear that, or do you think they're like, hey, we need you to wear this old time train outfit? He's like, yeah, extra $250,000 on the end of that paycheck.
And the cast also needs to wear stupid stuff.
Right. It's like, anyway,
I honestly, I loved it. I loved that it's like, because this is
he worked the whole time.
This is when the challenge is. It's when the challenge is at its best. Is when we don't like. It's that perfect balance of we're treating this like it's the fifth major sport, but at the same time, we are making a joke of ourselves, and we fully embrace that we're making a joke of ourselves.
This is reality television.
Yeah, like, because the last few seasons, it's been very. This is the best of the best competitors. Here's all these checkpoints. Like, it was very serious. Where Michael this Bay came off more goofy.
Yeah. No, I loved the goofiness. I mean, that's kind of like when I think TJ's goofy. He's not like a serious person. He takes the show seriously, and he doesn't want people to fuck around with it. But he you know, he's a goofy. Anyway, yeah, loved it. I loved it. I want to go get one of those coats. I'm looking at a picture of him right now that he definitely like posed for next to a train, and it's awesome.
But yeah, so we have our 4 teams. Like we listed out. I love how they handle like the recaps. It's a very hokey like sports like reality show of like here are the teams.
Yeah,
Danny and Tori have not seen eye to eye all season, but they'll have to bring it together. Jordan and Kaz faced adversity. Casey and Troy molded through the pits of the arena. And Theo and Sarah are here.
I did love that they put on like won the most important challenge. I was like, well, like kind of like technically they won. But,
and Theo and Sarah were handed victory for the jaws of defeat.
Great at Sudoku.
But I loved it. It was a very good refresh of like, okay, here's your 4 teams. Again, Dan and I talked about it last week. We were like, this is Jordan and Kaz's to lose, and maybe Casey and Troy do it unless they burn out. And it's like a very straightforward thing here.
Especially when we saw what the final was, that was that much endurance. Like I was already confident that Jordan and Kaz were going to win, but once I saw that much endurance, I was like, as long as Kaz can keep up somewhat, they have it in the bag.
I mean, you know, part of it was going to be brought up because they decide, even though we're on Paramount Plus, we're going to throw massive shade to Anissa. Let's bring the MTV footage in. Last season, we went out third. He doesn't go into specifics of why he goes out third.
Yeah.
But he's like, I had someone who would not run and rolled their ankle 2 minutes in.
Right. Well, and you know that like Jordan has been like, I mean, training Kaz, not only like how to play this game, but also, you know, that he's been like helping get her physically ready. They all know it's an endurance. Whereas the other one, it's Casey, whereas Casey kind of knows, but you know, she's not the same endurance level as Jordan. So they're good for like shorter competitions, but not. Yeah.
And it's very interesting because I thought it was very funny because I didn't watch this till today. But on, I believe it was Wednesday or Thursday, Casey put on her Instagram her boxing and how like boxing helped her in her rehab when she had her leg injury from the final that she was running with Fessel now. And she was talking about how her cardio comes more from those type of workouts instead of running. And I'm like, that's all well and good. Like cardio, there's different types of cardio though. And I just had this feeling of watching. I'm like, Troy can go. Like Troy will be able to keep going. It does not matter how hurt he is. He'll keep going. But like Casey has shown us time and time again, she has cardio that's specifically great. You know what? Let's do a basketball term. She's the Memphis Grizzlies. She's the Philadelphia 76ers. Great regular season team. Will hit those dailies. Will be like, if you throw her in an elimination, she can pull through clutch. But go into that final, she will be good. But ultimately, depending how long you have to go for, there's diminishing returns the further you have to go.
Yeah, you almost have to just be like okay at running a marathon to do this. Like,
and I'm
like
not.
A marathon, right? And like if you're like, oh yeah, I can go run a marathon, then like yeah, then you're probably ready for the final. That's I would think would be the bare minimum amount of endurance you would need to do a final.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Alex, you pointed it out, and it's because it's the truth that you look at it. Casey's win happened because she finished last and got to pick CT as a partner. If you look at her other finals performances, they haven't been great. I mean, Total Madness, she didn't do bad, but I mean, Jenny West smoked her. If you look at Double Agents, sure, she got hurt, so we'll give it a little bit of a pass. But like, she hasn't really come into a final and dominated the way that you think someone like her would.
No.
Yeah. And like, there was all likelihood when she won with CT that Kyle and Tori could have won that. Like, they because they were just behind them. They got their combo right. They were just behind. And so if Casey has any other partner, I don't think they win. Because like CT, I think even said during that, like he memorized the entire sequence,
right,
and was like, I'm not even gonna rely on my partner.
Yeah,
I'm gonna pretty much do this single-handedly. But congrats, you get to have the money. And I don't want to discredit Casey because like I said, great regular season performer on the challenge. I think she just has to work on this specific type of cardio, and then she's gonna be a force. Because I enjoyed Casey here. I enjoyed Casey in this season. I enjoyed Casey in this finale because we got to see the just like I'm hyper focused on the game. We get to see the frustrations of an athlete who's like, all I want to do is go, and my body is telling me I can't go. Which is like, it's such a great narrative to have because it's not just, like I quit or I just can't do it anymore. It's like we're seeing that struggle.
And while everyone will point out that Jordan is an asshole, which sure, can he be? Yes. I think where he's at now, he's a really good finals partner because he's not letting Kaz ever stop. And sure, it may be hard, but he's like, hey, this is what we need to do. Like, we can walk, but we have to always be moving. Where I don't think Troy is someone that can say, hey, you got to keep moving. I think he'd be more of, I'm going to give you your time. I'm not too forceful. I'm just going to let her be. Where I think someone like Jordan in this scenario is very beneficial because it's, no, come on, go, 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 go. There is no stop.
Right. But so this gets us to the first part. So we're on the train, the Fear Express. Again, very unserious.
Love it. I was hoping for Fear Factor type stuff. I was totally hoping for like Joe Rogan to come out. I mean, not really. Like, for Fear Factor.
No, I agree. But so we get to our first station for day one. It's Loops of Hell, where you're gonna be running around this 4-mile track essentially, 4 times. Each time you finish the track, you do one of the 4 challenges that are the 4 stations that are there for challenges. Once you complete all 4, you essentially run back to the train, and that's where like your time stops. They're not really being marked by time, but as we see, the reward is the amount you get to sleep based on arriving. I do wonder, in a world where all 4 teams finished, would the 4th place team just not get to sleep at all?
That would have been my guess.
Which would have been hilarious. Essentially 15 minutes you're not sleeping at all either. But they did have a breakdown for this, Stan. Oh, shit. And I know you missed it.
I did miss it.
And don't worry. I'll tell you how many. It's not 1 thing. It's not 2. It's not 3.
No.
It's 4 required skills marked at 60%, 20%, 10%, and another 10%.
God damn you, percentages. Proud. Yeah. The people in the comments that have noticed all my Fort Minor references, I appreciate you. They've been going strong all season. 60's got to be endurance.
It is.
Okay. I was going to say, like, it's got to be more endurance, but there's 2. I really want to say heart. Shout out Nelly T, but I don't think that's one. They like using brain power. Is one of them brain power?
It is.
For puzzles? Okay.
Which one? Which percentage?
20%.
You're doing great. You're doing great. 2 more things. 2 10%.
2 10%ers. Are they stupid or do they make sense?
I think they're apt. I think they apply.
I don't know. Is one like eating for that nasty
It
shit?
Is.
Eating? Okay, sweet. This never goes
You have
well.
one more.
All right. Let's see. What am I missing? So brain power, eating, endurance. What's another part of the final? So those would... Math?
Oh, no. It was technique.
That's stupid.
Honestly, I would have said like finesse instead.
What,
I would
technique
guess power.
technique for who can pick up, like the bolts or screws, whatever they were.
Well, I think like the toss technique, the ability to figure out weight. I don't know. But those were the four. And the stations were the toss, the canisters of different weight. You have the drinking of the really bad smoothies, and you had the math problem, which I know there's a lot of people talking about, specifically Jordan and Tori getting it wrong. Rumors say everybody got the math wrong, so we can sort of square that away.
Okay.
That will not make this a Disney World Championship for Jordan.
I think what really screwed people up, specifically Danny and Tori here, was they were so afraid of that shake. Like, I think we saw where they were at. There was a solid chance for them to finish in second, but they were so afraid. And all you have to do is pay attention to what other people are doing. Since Kaz and Jordan were saving it for last, you're behind them and you're not going to beat them on a loop to get ahead of them. You have to take that third. You can't wait to save it for last.
You need to know what your strengths and weaknesses are. And you need to be okay knowing the thing you want to do the least, you should do somewhere in the middle. You want to have easy start, easy finish. So I think they should have done the toss and the drinks in the middle, math on one end, and the weights on the other. And then you go from there. Doing it in the middle or doing it at the start, while it sucks and will take time, that's time you're not using later on that someone else is forced to do.
Yep.
Because I think that's essentially what did them in for day one. Because ultimately it has no impact on how day two starts. There's no differentiating runtime, which I'm fine with.
Yep.
Because everyone just did the lack of sleep. So like I don't feel like, oh well, if they got second, they would have won the whole thing. Like it wasn't going to change anything.
No.
But let's talk about Theo. Like Theo's whole thing this episode is how the thing that's been driving him is the fact that while he appreciates being called a legend on this season, he doesn't like the fact that he's here as a legend, but not without a title. So what he really desires above all else is being able to call himself a challenge champion. And the thing is, one little tiny thing, one little misstep, one little distraction can take that all away. They weren't going to win, but one little mistake of him looking elsewhere, his foot gets caught, he rolls his ankle, he essentially broke his foot, and from what he says on mile 3, and ran 7 additional miles on a broken foot.
It's harsh, but I think it's the reason why Theo hasn't granted this is his 3rd season, so it isn't like, he's...
And he almost won the hardest final ever.
But it's these little things that are just off, because if he was paid a little bit more attention and had the math right in War of the Worlds 1, he beats Turbo, because he was beating him going into it. And so it's just like Theo is so close. He has all the tools. He just needs to fine-tune a few things. Now here it was just losing concentration for a second, which I think most people would do when you're running that long, and it's that tedious thing, but it's these little things that are just kind of stepping them up a little bit.
Absolutely. So I think Sarah was as supportive as you can be as a partner there. It's like you're going to lose. Like as soon as that injury happens, you're not finishing. Or if you are, you will guaranteed be last. And I think Sarah did the right thing of like putting it in Theo's hands. I believe that it should have been on production's hands, that as soon as there's a legitimate injury to pull them. And I guess, unfortunately, because of people like Jordan, there's a precedent for competing with major injuries that they shouldn't have been able to compete in.
Yeah.
Yes, man.
Yeah.
It's, well, to be fair, like for Sarah, she was incredibly supportive. I'll give her that. But in the back of her mind somewhere was it, hey, I've been here before. It's okay. The 3 teams or people in front of me are going to quit, and I win.
Production has done the puzzle for me before. If there's a puzzle later, they'll do it for me, and I just have to show doing a line.
Yeah. I did not see that coming.
I love that. I love that, Dan.
Just saying, it could have been.
It's like, no, just let me get Kobe. The last time I did this, they all quit. I won.
I mean, when Amber stepped away, suddenly there was a new partner for Troy. Am I gonna get a new partner if Theo goes? Is Yes still here? I'll run with Yes. But they eventually get pulled out. They're gone. But really, this final is a war of attrition. It's who can push further. And I will give Jordan his credit. He, in confessional and when he's running, at least for the footage that they decide to show us, is very much aware of, like, and I think very hyper aware because of last season with Anissa and what he was called out for. He was like, I need to figure out how I can be supportive, but still me. Where it's like, I'm going to push them to keep going. But I need to figure out in a way where, like, I'm not berating my partner to the point where they actively do not want to help me win. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's just because Kaz is I think she's more tolerable to it and, like, willing to endure it because she knows I can win money if I just keep getting that one step further.
Yeah. But I mean, to be fair, Alex, if you had to do anything long-term with Anissa, would you not break down and berate her at some point?
Oh, I wouldn't even need to do anything before berating her.
I'll tell you.
I would have saw her and they told me I was partnered with her, I would have walked.
Going back to Jordan being an asshole, he can't be because he's not spending all of his time on television throwing Anissa under the bus. You know, I haven't heard anything from him. They're friends or whatever, but it's like, yeah, I would have won another one, except I had Anissa as a partner. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, the show did it. The show said it for him.
Right. Well, but if anything, you look at, he's done some post-game interviews or whatever for not winning. He takes that on himself. He said, I didn't come into last season of Ride or Die as physically and mentally prepared as what I needed to win the game. He never once said that it was Anissa's fault.
Right. So,
well, and that's not him.
Like, yeah, but that kind of shows me, like, no, he's not an asshole. He might push too hard and rub people the wrong way and whatever, but new Jordan, I'm not talking old Jordan. I'm talking.
Well, old Jordan was definitely an asshole.
Yeah, no, I'm talking this new Jordan that's been on, I think it's been 3 or 4 seasons, something like that he's been kind of 2 or 3.
It's like 2, I believe it's
All-Stars 3
2
and
modern seasons.
2. Yeah.
All-Stars this.
Yeah. So, 4. So, anyway.
Yeah. No, and like, kudos to him. Like, he knows how to win. And like there's a reason why him and Wes were the first 2 guys picked. Because and Bananas third. And honestly, I keep thinking back to them getting help in that elimination versus Bananas and Justine. And a part of me thinks either team that won that is the team that was ultimately going to win this final. Because we have heard in post-game from Challenge USA about Justine, which is how much of a beast she was the entire season and during the final of that. And if it wasn't for like the extreme cold weather and no one knowing what a Sudoku was, she was the winner. She was going to be the female winner of the season. And between that and Bananas just being who he is in a final, they will be a very serious threat in this. So, it's on the cast. They allowed Jordan to win when they had an opportunity to take him out.
Yep.
Yeah. The only thing that I'd say that could cause them problems is because I don't know if Bananas would be able to go the rest of the season without being tossed into elimination again. Doesn't mean that they can't win, but I don't know if him and Justine go the rest of the season without being tossed in, because we don't see Jordan and Kaz go back in after that.
I think I think they literally just take the place of Jordan and Kat's. Like, you have the Team USA. Danny and Sarah aren't touching Justine, and through that, Emily and Yes won't touch Justine. It's the same thing, in my opinion, from what I look at. And we know that Bananas and Tori these past few seasons have been on like working friendly terms.
Yeah.
But it's who's to say? It's that's wild speculation. I just have my hunches. But they beast it. Besides the drinking thing, which everyone struggles at, they finished first. Troy and Casey, very strong effort. They get second. But you can see, especially through Casey, that having that elimination and then overnight drive into this challenge, like, she's still fatigued from competing against Emily. Because they had to go twice, right?
Or was it? No. It was because Emily beat Casey the first time, and then Casey won again the second.
So, and even if she didn't know how to do it properly, like, you're still going against an Olympic athlete for 2 rounds, so you're gonna be beaten up. Whereas Troy went against Yes, and like, while it's still physical, like, Troy is Troy. We've seen him twice now. He's gonna beast, but Casey's wearing that. And then you have Tori and Danny, who, like, they're doing fine. Like, that's all you can really say about the finals. Like, they're doing fine. Like, they didn't do any one thing in particularly great, but they didn't do anything truly bad outside of the drink. Right. And I guess the toss.
Which, Alex, you and I talked about it when we were talking about Troy and Casey, their finals potential. As we said, they'd have a shot at winning simply because they do everything pretty well. Like, they don't have any high highs. They don't have any low lows. Like, they just are going to do everything pretty well, which in a final, sometimes that can be all that you need to win.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So we finished the first day. Sarah and Theo are gone, and they're getting some rest time before the insomnia part of the challenge. But one person from each team has the chance to take an IV. And with that, I do want to pull up this comment because I didn't see this, and it would explain a lot about the second day. So Casey, Danny, and Kaz were the 3 people who had the IVs. But apparently, Casey said her IV would not take. They tried 6 times, and it just wouldn't go. So that could explain why she was really falling apart on day 2. Because I found that so strange when I was like, is it just a lack of sleep? And knowing the IV didn't take, that would explain so much more about her reaction going into day 2 of like, my body's breaking down. Like, I don't know if I can handle this anymore, but like, I'm going to keep going. But I feel like I'm breaking down.
Well, hey boys, sorry to cut you off. You guys killed it this season. I got to go. I have to take my daughter to a farm with a bunch of daycare friends. So
love that.
Thanks for letting me hop on with you guys. And
absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks. And you guys killed it. I do listen to this podcast. Like, I love listening to y'all talk about this show. I love this show. So, if I'm not down with y'all on Wednesday, I'll hop on the podcast with you and Matt, Alex. So
sounds
you guys will
good.
hear from me. And Johnny and I are recording our recap from this week tomorrow morning. So if you want to join us live, wake up early. I think we're going at 9 a.m. So, all right, boys.
See you, Wayne.
Thank you, Wayne.
Yep. See you guys. Bye.
Okay. So we know that about the IVs. That gets us to the insomnia, where all of them are still stinking of holy hell. And TJ just goes, I made this nice dinner for you guys. Put on these great Gatsby outfits and eat to your heart's content.
Yeah, it was unexpected. And I think, everyone was cautious. Like, they were cautious, being like, what's really going on? And while it wasn't, disgusting to eat or whatever, it definitely does play in it that I think Tori said, it was like Thanksgiving dinner, that having all that meat and cheese, like that was going to do no favors with trying to stay up all night.
Yeah. So you have to stay up all night. You have shock collars on you that will wake you up if you're seen falling asleep. And based off placement, 1 hour before you are going to be starting day 2, Jordan and Kaz get to sleep for the full hour, whereas Casey and Troy get to sleep for 30 minutes. Danny and Tori only get to sleep for 15. They all help each other stay up. They do ice baths, jokes, or like not ice baths, but putting their face in ice, throwing water in their faces, helping each other. And like, now this is the part I don't like about the current age of the challenge of people helping each other out. I'm like, I need any advantage I can get.
Yeah.
Go sleep. Get shocked. I don't care. I don't care if you're like my blood. I don't care if you're my spouse. I don't care if you're my partner. Go to sleep. Get shocked. Me and my actual partner for this show, we will stay up. We will help each other stay up. And then we will have the edge going in because we haven't been shocked.
I mean, it obviously wasn't going to be, like a severe damage to anyone. And I don't know, maybe it's a little bit of a sick personality or whatever. Didn't somebody there just want to see what would happen if it happened once?
Well, I thought they were going to let that happen with Kaz.
I thought they were too.
Like, Kaz definitely fell asleep and did not get shocked.
Just how some of them were laying. Like, there's no way that you don't at least doze off, even if it's just real quick.
Right. But they all get through it. They get their sleep or lack thereof. And now it's time for day 2, where you're going to be racing, doing on a bike track. You'll lose the bikes, and you'll get to a spot where you need these specific keys and your canister that you've been carrying this whole time to complete a puzzle. And then you would run up a ridge, collect the key, and come down to the finish line to open up.
Oh no, did I freeze or did you freeze? Ruh-roh. Chat. I don't know. Somebody in the chat. Did I freeze? Did Alex freeze? Might be me. Uh-oh.
Am I back?
Okay, I'm back. I didn't know if it was you or me.
It was me.
It was you? Okay.
My Wi-Fi kicked me for a moment.
Gotcha. Okay.
So sorry, where did I...
Sure.
So
you were just explaining the second day. Yeah.
Yeah. So bikes, ridge, puzzle, grab your key, win the championship.
Apparently there also was a canoeing portion of it as well.
Oh, I'm sure there was a ton that we missed. Yeah. They don't show us everything, which I'm like, what's the point of having this extra stuff if you're not going to show it? Because I think it gives more insight over how close or how far people actually are. Tell the story. But I guess it's inoffensive. If it means nothing and didn't change anything, don't need to show it. But really, in theory, this could be anyone's game.
Mm-hmm.
But Tori doesn't know how to ride a bike.
No, apparently she says she crashed and, a bike went into a mailbox and didn't make it, or hasn't been on a bike since, which...
I didn't make it.
Also, not entirely true, because apparently there was a mountain biking portion of Dirty 30 final that did not air. So she was at least on a bike then.
Well, she may have sucked then too.
Well, she came in third, so probably.
And she came third here. Or second. She came second here. Third on the first day. But really, I think that's just what ultimately is their downfall of having a true chance of winning for Danny and Tori. Because it didn't seem like they were too far behind of Jordan and Kaz. Obviously, edit makes it seem like that. I think there was probably enough of a gap where no one was going to beat Jordan and Kaz after that puzzle. But yeah, Jordan and Kaz just beast it. Like they have their one struggle moment at the puzzle because Jordan's good at slide puzzles, but he's not doing good. And Kaz is trying to tell him like, hey, you're sucking right now. Let me take charge.
Yeah.
It's the one moment that we're shown of Jordan like almost losing it, but he doesn't. They win. It's like a gratifying win number 4, right?
4.
Do we count this as part of like the overall thing, or do we keep it in a box? Like, how CT's like Champs vs. Stars win, or anyone on Champs vs. Stars doesn't really count as
I don't think Champs
win.
versus Stars count, but this and All Stars, I count. They were legit seasons, legit finals. Because Champs versus Stars, I mean, they were staying at a hotel and would only go out like for the filming portions of it.
True.
Because it's the same way, like I count, John A's 2 All-Stars wins.
Yep.
I count Wes's All-Stars 3 win. I think that this counts. This is his 4th.
Yeah, I was just more posing the question because I personally would count it as a win. I'm joking that it's a Disney World Championship because it's on Paramount Plus and all that, but it was a legit final because for me, a final isn't about the challenges you do during it. It's about the war of attrition. It's about how far can your body go and you can still win. And that's what Jordan and Kaz proved. Like, Kaz was shutting down, but like she still kept going. Jordan was good at encouraging her. But I think Kaz did it on her own as well. They get this win, very well deserved. I don't like the constant welcome to the challenge Jordan does to Kaz when Kaz got here because she won a season of the challenge. I know it's different, and I know she says it's different, but it's not like she's some schmuck who came across to the challenge.
I think that's just more of that old vet thing that a lot of them have.
Well, being a vet, they have honor. Honor.
Well, I mean, look at Jordan in World of Worlds 2 or whatever. He's telling Turbo, like, I don't care that you won last season. I wasn't here.
I wasn't there.
Doesn't count.
So it doesn't count. Everyone know if you won a season and Jordan wasn't there, did you really win a season of the challenge?
So this gets Phil, I'd say it's Jordan's 4th. This gets me to maybe my hot take.
Okay. I know you said you had a something you wanted to,
and this is more about the future overall picture than it is where we're at currently. Because right now there's the GOAT debate. Is it CT or is it Bananas? I personally think it's Bananas, and I think it's ridiculous to say otherwise. Just because he has 2 on CT, is CT the more better physical specimen?
In theory, CT should have been.
Yeah. But the reason why CT isn't the GOAT is CT's fault because it took him so long to get that first win. He had all the tools to have more championships than anyone else, but he doesn't. But the people that love CT, like I love CT too. The people that say that, okay, I disagree, but I'm not going to say that it's ridiculous. What I think what we're going to is this is Jordan's 4th win in 9 seasons. And I'm not even willing to say that Bananas doesn't have another win in him potentially. But I think 5 years from now, the GOAT debate is not Bananas and CT. I think it's Bananas and Jordan. Because before Jordan's done, I'm calling it, he is going to have more wins than CT in fewer seasons.
I think the big issue you have for that is Jordan himself. Because as you said, and it looks like it's happening again, he gets his win, and then he goes off doing other stuff.
Yeah, like now he's a race car driver.
Right. Race car driver said he had him, Bananas, Wes, like all like declined a potential of doing season 39. Like I know that there was feelers out there for veterans, and they were all like, no, we need a break. Like, you have been throwing us in season after season now. We need some time.
No, I understand what you're saying is that it would come down to if he keeps coming back. But he did do an interview saying that, his race car thing, he's pretty much booked up till I think it was October. So that definitely would obviously have him out for
he wouldn't be able to film till next year.
Yeah. But he also did say in that interview with I think it was EW, was that the challenge always has a special place when he's going to come back. And I think Jordan definitely believes he's better than Bananas and CT. Will he say that out loud? No. And I think, will he be back every season? No. But I think he's going to keep coming back because he wants to track it down. Now that he's 1 behind CT and 3 behind Bananas, I think he's going to do enough that when we were doing ride or dies, I remember, because I take everything back to betting, it was over under. It was 2.5 more, rings for Jordan. Now it's down to 1.5. I think he gets to 7 before it's all said and done. I think he has 3 more in him.
It's just so hard. Like, there's a reason why it took so long for Bananas to get to that point, to get to that seventh ring. Part of it is people saying there was a curse, and I think it was more so a lot of the players like, we're not letting you get close to a final again. It takes a lot. And
agreed.
The one thing that Bananas does better than Jordan is how he integrates into a season now at his age.
100%.
Like, more times than not, he's able to ingratiate. He was able to ingratiate himself immediately into the Big Brother clique, into the Vacation Alliance. Like, he's that, and I mean this in the best way possible. Bananas is a parasite. Like, he will travel from host to host. He had Kenny and Evan to start out. Like, you had the JEK Alliance. He loses that. He gains Leroy. He gains, like, his other main people. Then you start losing those people. Then you have some of the OGs come back, and you have him working with Darrell, have him working with CT again, because now they're buddies. You have Jordan now coming back in, and, like, these people that are the winners, the GOAT conversation people, were like, well, we're going to just work with each other because it makes sense to do it. And now with Big Brother, now with the Vacation, like, he has proven time and time again that he can mend a fence and, like, put himself back into a position where because he's always going to be someone who's like, you take him out early or you try to take him out right before the final, but if you don't take him out of the final, he's almost guaranteed at minimum second place.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't hold any, because he has 2 finals losses, so it'd be 4-2 in finals. I think he deserves half of a championship just for dragging Anissa kicking and screaming to a final.
No. Yeah. If anything, I'll give you a 1.5 championship for winning Dirty 30 on a broken leg.
That's fair. That's, but I just look at it as, you'll take it back to basketball comparisons. Like, that's why, like, LeBron James, his 07 run with the Cavs, I give him half a ring. Yes, they lost in the finals to the Spurs and got smoked. That team was terrible. That's what he had with Anissa this past time.
So like, yeah, we're gonna finish this out with basketball talk. Like, if you're Bananas, like, I'm not gonna compare him to LeBron, but it's like you can't because LeBron lost more in the biggest spotlight than Johnny has. Like, if we do major athlete, the closest comparison you have for him is Tom Brady. Agreed. Longevity and just consistently being able to be an above average player, just like overall, just like more times than not, you're making the playoffs, you have a chance to win, and 70% of the time you did if you got there. You have incredible. Jordan is Steph Curry, always challenging, always on the heels. Steph Curry will not be called the GOAT, but he will be damn sure in that conversation. And that's not even a slight on Steph Curry. That's not a slight on Jordan. It shows how great he is, but also just like how great the lineage of a Bananas and a CT is, because they have the numbers and the wins. He has this like spark plug moment. If he's kept coming back during his prime, or didn't have the issues that MTV was like, we need to hold you off for a couple seasons to redo your image. He might have a couple more championships on his belt. If he wasn't as much of a hothead early in his career, he may have had some wins. Like, he probably could have won free agents if he didn't.
He gotten there.
If he didn't put himself into an elimination that he was going to be extremely handicapped in.
The one thing that I'll go against what you're going to say is you're 100% right that Bananas integrates himself better with the people that are surrounding him. The one thing that I'll say to Jordan, though, or whatever, is I think it's better than Bananas and CT or whatever. Jordan is much better in eliminations. So taking that shot, most seasons, you're going to have to do it consistently. And being a vet status, I don't think it's always happens all the time where they're going after him right away. So you even don't start going after Jordan till midway through the game, he can win 3 or 4 eliminations and get to a final.
I will say, though, unlike Bananas, who I think has done the work himself to ingratiate himself, Jordan has had the benefit of a vacation alliance that he gets to be attached to, but that everyone's like, I don't know where Jordan's head is at. But because Tori exists, people don't go after him.
I mean, the best thing that Bananas
weird.
has done in the past few seasons for ingratiating himself has been doing the podcast, because he took a few seasons off and he's just talking to people, and it seems like it's kind of sewed up some old wounds that he's on a lot better terms than what he was when he was doing, you know, those 10 plus seasons in a row.
You know, you're right. And to round it out, we have CT. CT's the San Antonio Spurs in the prime.
Just the franchise.
The franchise in general. The Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, Greg Popovich. You can even throw David Robertson in there, which is like, you don't win all the time, but you were consistently great.
I was either going to say that, or the one thing that hurts the comparison is they didn't have enough championships. The late 80s Bad Boys Pistons is that they got in their own way.
Rough, aggressive.
So much in the early part of their career.
Early CT is Malice at the Palace.
Yeah.
Just consistently. But like King Cash is out here. I love that he's following along with this. Like he says Jordan's Kobe. So I guess in this instance we would say Bananas is Jordan.
Jordan, yeah.
Michael
Jordan.
Jordan is Kobe Bryant. CT's Tim Duncan. That's
fair. I can live with that.
I think all of those are apt, but like I also think Jordan is Steph Curry.
Yeah,
like he's this hybrid of Kobe and Steph, like two leaders, but he has the dog of Kobe, but the clutchness of Steph.
Yeah, no,
and I love that these people that are exclusively challenged people are like, what have you been talking about for the last 10
Who
minutes?
are these people?
Who are these sports? This is the fifth major sport. We have to talk about other sports here, people. But this does round out this like mini series of the World Championships experiment. I'm not sure if we can say the branches to World Championship were successful. There is a USA Season 2, but that, as we said, there's bigger things in motion than just World Championships in regards to that. World Championship on itself, I think, worked. The format worked. They brought in the right people, even if we were questioning why they brought certain people back. Ben, Grant, like it worked. There was drama. There was like organic drama being filled in through the MVPs. You have the fake drama of the legends. They didn't have as much Tori Jordan relationship as the main show. The only big thing was, and as Danny pointed out, we should have thrown him in more. If someone would have just let me throw him in more, maybe we could have won.
Yeah, and I don't know if moving forward, if you're going this route, you definitely couldn't call it World Championships. But I think you could still even do this a Paramount Plus version of the show where you're pulling. Here it was MVPs, but you're pulling them from other reality shows from the same parts of the world and do something similar. Like I said, that obviously isn't World Championships then, but I think you could still have a similar spin-off doing the exact same thing using the same formula. You wouldn't need to bring in all of the high-profile vets that they did here. You know, you'd be fine with more of, you know, the Fessel, Kyles, Devin, thing like that to get them here.
I think before we go back into that, because I think that's a great point, I do want to come back to our previous conversation because I think we can both quickly agree on this. From King Cash, this officially puts Jordan over Darrell, ends that debate. And
yeah,
I could have argued, no shade to Darrell, I could have argued without this win, Jordan's above Darrell. Maybe not in rings, but like the type of formats that he won and just the quality that he has shown even in seasons where he hasn't won.
Do you want your Darrell comparison?
Oh no.
Darrell is kind of like now it's way more kind of like the Bill Russell. Like, he's great. He's all-time great. He has all those rings, but
he was facing plumbers.
Yeah, come on. It's not the same competition. It wasn't the same finals.
You'll have Mad Dog coming at you over that. Because we know Mad Dog listens to this podcast.
All the time. Avid listener.
All the time. But going back to what we were discussing here, World Championships works. I almost feel if you're going to make Challenge USA almost like the new challenge where you have your main guys come in, I would argue make this Paramount series, change it from World Championships to an exclusively challenge fresh meat format. You bring in the people that you want to potentially bring onto the main show, and you have some legends sprinkled in there to like be their partner, see if they can swim, see how the season goes. It's like boot camp. Like, have that, and then that's the push into the main show and All Stars and all that.
I do love Fresh Meat 1 and 2, so I'm all for that.
But we have reached an hour. We barely really talked about the episode because it's a very straightforward episode, and that's okay. Like, I think the final worked. We had a good winner, a deserving winner, even if it was because Tori just wouldn't let Jordan go into elimination. But it's a win is a win is a win, and if you're there, you have a chance to win. And Jordan and Kaz kicked ass. So congrats to Kaz for getting her first like win in like this format. Technically, she's a 2-time winner. I don't know what we're calling like I would count the Australia win. At 6 episodes season of UK and Argentina, I don't really know enough about to really declare those a championship win.
That's a debate for another day.
It is. But she has officially a win on the record books. If we're counting this for Jordan, it counts for Kaz. Kaz is now a challenge champion. A champion is you. But that concludes our coverage of the Challenge World Championships exclusively on Paramount Plus.
What I was going to say is what's really weird for us is we've known for the longest time when we're going to be back. We don't know when we're going to be back because we haven't seen that All-Stars
apparently locked up in a vault.
Yeah, like that's been done filming for quite a while, and we started to see the other night some of the advertisements for USA 2, and we know that's not done filming yet. I think it's getting closer to the end, but it's not done because of the writer's strike.
Or it's going to be shown first.
Yeah, do we know that that's what they're going to do? Because
it seems that way because rumor is they are pushing out Big Brother due to the writer's strike. So instead of starting in July, it will start in early August and go all the way to November. So Big Brother's going to be going on at the same time as Survivor and The Amazing Race. So I do not know what those Wednesdays are going to look like. But with that gap, the speculation would be that Challenge USA would most likely start in July.
I can't believe that the challenge would give us a month and a half off. I don't know if I want to believe that yet.
I don't mind it. I don't mind a break.
I don't either, but I think it makes sense because I think if it's starting in July, you'd almost have to start airing All Stars 4 like next week.
And they would have revealed it 2 weeks ago if it was
because if they wait much longer, there's going to be too much overlap. And if they're trying to really control being like part of the challenges on, you can have a week or two overlap. You can't have where both the seasons are pretty much going simultaneously.
And King Cash is saying no breaks. No breaks allowed. But if we were not to have a break, I would at least need an IV that would take, because as you all know, Dan and I will always be here any week where a challenge episode drops. We'll be here to break it all down, and we'll have the finale of Survivor 44 next Wednesday. Dan is going to be out partying it up with Johnny. We want to talk more about that.
Yeah, so as Alex mentioned, this coming Wednesday, May 24th, it's the Survivor Season 44 finale. Johnny Fairplay is on his last viewing tour of the season. He is in the town I live in, Charlotte, North Carolina. You can get tickets for that at survivortix.com. That's survivortix.com. It's at Lenny Boy Brewing, great brewery. He will be joined by the Queen, Sandra Diaz-Twine. Peek behind the curtain, possibly even Sandra's daughter, Nina. We're still checking, as well as a few other surprise castaways that will be showing up. We're going to do the finale. We'll do the live Q&A, and then we will get the rematch of Fire between Johnny and Sandra. So that's going to be one you're not going to want to miss. If you're anywhere near Charlotte, I can't speak about it highly enough. You kind of heard my long-term sentiment about it on Wednesday when I was talking about the viewing party. But it's once again, survivortix.com, survivortix.com. Come join me, Johnny, Sandra, potentially even Wayne, as well as a few others in Charlotte, North Carolina. But that's going to wrap it up for you and me, Alex. I've had an absolute blast this entire season. It's been my favorite podcast of the week. It's been incredible.
We are not quitters. TJ would always love us because we didn't quit on all of you who have listened. So make sure you stay subscribed to our channel. Make sure you click that bell for all notifications. If you're watching on YouTube, give us a 5-star review. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever you listen to your podcast, give us a 5-star review. Tell us what tattoo bet should we give for Dan for next season. But with that, Dan, let's close this out. We'll see you all whenever there's new content of the challenge. See ya.
See ya.
And for more bonus content, go to realitypatron.com. That's right, become a patron now. Get additional coverage of all your favorite shows, the weekly Q&A, and you become a member of the secret, exclusive Facebook group. That's realitypatron.com.